Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first edition of The Go Show. I'm glad that you're joining me this evening. Today, we're going to talk about an issue that is definitely near and dear to my heart. But before I do get into all that, I just wanted to introduce myself to everybody out there who's listening. They know me as OG Ghost in certain parts. It's kind of a little facetious name. You know how the online world works, you know. I've seen some crazy little names out there, so I decided to go ahead and relay my little screen name onto this little blog talk radio show. I'm a conservative Republican, social conservative. I'm conservative in my views on international relations policy. I'm of the persuasion that thinks that George Bush is a great president. What brings me on here on Blog Talk Radio and other parts of the internet is the fact that I'm tired of seeing American society going down the tubes. And what I mean by going down the tubes is we're seeing a lot of social ills become prevalent. In my view, I think that the moral ethos of America is just completely gone. And one of the reasons I believe the social ills of society have been implemented is because of the feminist movement, which is the main subject matter of what we're talking about this evening. If you have anything to chime in about, if you have any insights, views, if you don't agree with me, if you do agree with me, give me a call. The number to call in is 646-652-4869. That number again is 646-652-4869. And I'd like to thank whoever's out there listening. It's Friday evening. I'm sitting back enjoying the American lifestyle, appreciating an adult libation, and smoking a nice Opus X Arturo Fuente cigar. And I'm just bringing up the subject matter of feminism. Now, people ask me all the time, well, do you hate women? Do you want women barefoot and pregnant? And all other kind of logical fallacies, and that's not what I want at all. I'm just tired of seeing society going down the tubes. I'm tired of seeing the moral ethos being completely destroyed. And on top of which, the American family is becoming extinct. Let me give you an example. Look at all the prevalent divorces that are out here in America today. It seems to be the chic thing to do, get a divorce. I mean, people go in and out of divorce like they're changing underwear. And it's just absolutely disgusting. Look at the prevalence of single-parent families in America. Look at the prevalence of, women having multiple children from multiple different fathers. I remember a time when this was outcasted. I mean, you were shunned. You were blackballed if you had children out of wedlock. You were blackballed if you had divorces and whatnot. And you see, that's what we're going to talk about this evening, folks. We are going to talk about how the absolute pussification, all right, the absolute pussification of the American male has been implemented due to the feminist movement. And if you happen to be a female who's one of these, bull-nosed, bull-dyke, burning brawl feminists that happen to disagree with me, by all means, give me a call right now, 646-652-4869. I want to hear from you. And I'd like for your persuasion to try to make me understand why you want to ruin the American family, because that's the clear objective of the feminist movement. And anybody who tries to say that I'm wrong, well, tell me why I'm wrong. I mean, tell me why I'm going loco. Tell me I'm going overboard. Tell me why I'm going extreme. 646-652-4869 is the number to call. But let me elaborate a little bit more on the pussification of the American male. Haven't you noticed that if you talk to a male under the age of 30 nowadays, very prominent feminine features in their physical attributes Notice the feminine vernacular whenever they decide to talk and that sort of thing. You got to ask yourself, why is this? Why is this happening? Feminist movement, ladies and gentlemen. And people are going to say, well, why and how can the feminist movement do such a thing? Well, because they have infiltrated one of the biggest government bureaucracies that we have today, and that's the public education system. Public education system has been infiltrated by the feminists. Now, when I say feminist, I mean the 1960s Gloria Steinem thumping feminists. I'm not talking about the feminists of the beginning of the 20th century that aided the women to get their right to vote, to get their right to work, which I'm all for. I'm all for. Every time I attempt to facilitate any type of discourse on this subject matter, I'm accused of being a misogynist. I'm accused of being a male chauvinist. And the reason is because the 1960s feminist movement is derived from communism, authoritarian communism. And just to understand where I'm coming from, haven't you noticed that anytime you disagree with a female nowadays, you're just an absolute chauvinist pig? Let me give you an example. Every day I watch television, which I really need to stop doing because television is a definite social ill, but that's a whole other subject matter. Every time I look on television, I see a woman get up on a stage and say, you know what? Women are better than men. And everybody applauds. Oh, yeah, women are better than men. That's great, yeah. But have a man get up on there and say men are better than women, he'd get booed off the stage with a tomato in his eye socket. That, my friends, is authoritarian communism, however you want to look at it. However you want to look at it. Anyway, 646-652-4869 is the number to call. I'd like to thank everybody who's listening in this evening. This is my first show. And the reason I'm going all out and, doing a show and I'm, on some political or chat, voice chat room in a chat community that I don't want to mention because, I don't want to advertise anybody's company or anything like that. The reason I'm doing and making all this effort is because I'm tired of seeing the American family going down the tubes. I'm just tired of it. We're taking calls here. I'm going to go ahead and take my first caller. 508 area code. You're with us on the Go Show. What's going on?
Hello?
Hello?
Who's this?
You're on the Go Show right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I called the wrong number. I'm sorry.
You called the wrong number?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Are you sure? You sound like one of these, feminized men we're talking about this evening.
I'm sorry. I think I called the wrong number.
Well, are you sure? Well, what do you think about the feminist movement?
Well, I don't know much about girls.
You don't know much about girls? Well, it's obvious by the feminized vernacular.
Oh.
But I just want to know your opinion. Do you think the feminist movement is contributing anything to society?
Well, what do you mean by a movement?
The feminist movement. I mean, haven't you noticed the 1960s Gloria Steinem feminist movement? That's what we're talking about this evening. You're on the air right now.
Well, I'm not that old. I'm only 22.
You're only 22.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you were in public school, let me ask you, were you told to be politically correct? Were you emphasized political correctness in public education?
I went to parochial school.
You went to Pinocchio school? Is that what you said?
Parochial.
Oh, I understand. Okay. So let me ask you.
I'm really sorry. I have to go. I'm trying to call my friend, okay?
You're trying to call your friend. You got 1,000 people listening to you right now, my man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello? Now, you see, folks, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, there's a 22-year-old young man here, all right? We're just asking him a few questions, and the guy is so pussified, he can't even stand up and say anything. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is the feminization, the pussification of the American male. Notice the feminized vernacular in that young man. And I really don't mean to pick on that young man, but he happened to have called up. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. Men aren't standing up and being men anymore. They're not sounding off like they got a pair because their pair is in their goddamn wife's purse. And that's just disgusting. Anyway, 646-652-4869 is the number to call. Give us a call down here. We're taking calls. Like I said, we're talking about the feminist movement and how it's ruining society. And let me elaborate a little bit more on that. You know, every time I attempt to facilitate any type of debate on the feminist movement, automatically, like I said, I'm called every name in the book. Woman hater, chauvinist, jerk off. I mean, I get things told about my family. I get besmirched. And why is that? All I'm doing is trying to attempt to facilitate some sort of debate. That's all I want. I just want to provide some discourse on this subject matter. But there is no discourse. You can't question it. You want to know why? Because that's authoritarian communism, my friend. Authoritarian communism. I don't care which way you look at it. 646-652-4869. Give me a call right now. We're going to take some more callers here in a bit, but I wanted to go into why I believe the feminist movement is the social ill of society. Not only has it implemented the absolute pussification of the American male, and if you talk to a male under the age of 30 in America, they sound like they popped out of the ass crack of Ricky Martin. I mean, they're just, feminized vernacular. Feminine features in their physical attributes. And on top of which, the feminist movement has reshaped the woman's appetite and has turned the modern-day American woman into a subliminal prostitute. Yeah, that's right. I said subliminal prostitute. That's what the average everyday woman is nowadays. And I don't mean to make blanketed statements because I've come across a lot of people, females especially, that still believe in saving the American family. They still believe that the American family is something to work for, to believe in. I come across a lot of conservative women who take care of their children, who was there installing that instinctive motherly instinct on her children so that they can be raised properly. Now, let me get back to this subliminal prostitute thing. The reason I believe that women have turned into subliminal prostitutes is just by simple observation. It's no coincidence that there's a direct correlation between a man losing his job and a divorce. Haven't you noticed that? Why is that? Why is there a direct correlation between a man losing his job and divorce? And let me give you another example. Average male today, all right, who wants to attract a female. They got to buy the $50,000 car. They got to get a $3,000 suit, $20,000 watch, and any other materialistic widgets, not because they're appeasing their own materialistic needs, because it attracts women. And that, by the very definition, is prostitution, however you want to look at it. Subliminal prostitution. That's what the modern woman is today because of the feminist movement. And this is what Gloria Steinem wanted? Gloria Steinem should be ashamed of herself. I mean, look at the modern-day pop stars, for instance. Beyonce Knowles. What a piece of trash that is. I mean, if you listen to this female's music, I mean, what does it say? I mean, I think in one of her songs it says, you can pay all of my bills, you can pay my telephone bills, or then maybe we can chill. I mean, what kind of message is that sending to our youth? Whatever happened to love and romance and building a family, being together and raising children? No. Nowadays, because of the feminist movement, you've got women shitting out about 4 or 5 kids from 4 or 5 different fathers. They're having 4 or 5 different divorces, but hey, that's okay. It's woman liberation. It's disgusting, and we need to get back to the moral ethos of society. The sooner we get back and gain some integrity in society, the sooner we will see the social ills rid itself. 646-652-4869. And, I really feel bad for putting that caller on the spot. Obviously, he was, calling his lover or calling a friend of his or something. But, prime example, 22 years old, sounds fruitier than a box of Fruit Loops, and he didn't even have enough gall or testicular fortitude to get on a telephone and talk on the air over here. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm glad there's a lot of people listening in to us here, because this is a definite important issue. And anybody who tries to deny that, I think you're making more of it, Ghost. I think you're a little out of hand. I think you're too extreme. Well, you've already been pussified, my friend. You've been pussified. And let me tell you, I see these guys all the time. During the holidays when I was doing Christmas shopping at shopping malls, you'd see these idiots in the middle of the mall, sitting there like, a puppy that's been in the house for about 8 years. They're sitting there holding a purse while their wife is out there blowing their paycheck. He's sitting there holding the wife's purse. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. And you know what I hate? I hate when you get the debate that, well, Ghost, it's not like the old days. It's not like the old days when the man could go and bring home the bacon and the mother could stay home with the children. We have to have 2 incomes. That's what I hear all the time. Oh, we have to have 2 incomes. It's ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous debate I've ever heard in my life. Why don't you stop buying the $3,000 plasma screen TV? How about that, huh? How about stop buying the $50,000 car that you can't pay for? How about stop buying the $400,000 house that you'll never pay? How about that? How about taking some personal fiscal responsibility in yourself? It's ridiculous. 646-652-4869. Give me a call. We want to talk to anybody who has any kind of feeling towards this feminist movement. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. And if you're some bull-nosed, bull-dyke, bra-burning, muff-diving feminist, we want to hear from you too. We want to hear from you too. I go on these, little voice chat communities a lot, Very amusing to me. It gives you a decent sample of what's going on in today's society, what the average American person is thinking, that sort of thing. And it's pretty sad. This feminist garbage, I go on to kind of a chat community, whatever you have, voice chat community, whatever you want to call it. And they have a little political discourse section, it's the kind of chat community where anybody can make their own style of room, and there's like a little administrators on there, whatnot. And these administrators are the idiots that made the room, and they're supposed to be monitoring the chat. Just in case anybody gets uppity, they monitor the chat. But what I've noticed is that in this chat community, there is a humongous base of left-wing, long-hair liberal hippies that basically get on one after another on the little voice chat thing, one after another, and it's the same regurgitated nonsense. So I figure, well, you know what? Maybe I can facilitate some debate in here. These are supposed educated liberals. Let me go ahead and see what they feel about the feminist movement. See what they feel about certain social issues. And every time I attempt to facilitate any type of debate, and I'm not getting up, trying to cause trouble. I'm not sitting there cursing anybody's family or, besmirching anybody's personal integrity or anything of that nature. I'm just trying to facilitate a debate. And then you got bull-nosed bull-dykes that are these administrators that are just going to, try to kick me out of the room because I'm just posing a question that don't you think that feminism is ruining society? And they kick me out of the room. Now, why is that? Why exactly is that? I'll tell you why that is, ladies and gentlemen. It's because the feminist movement, it's rooted in authoritarian communism. There's no disagreeing whatsoever. I talk to these feminists all the time, and you know what their substance is? Oh, you're a chauvinist. You're a chauvinist pig. And then they start talking about my family and start talking about me. I mean, this is the logical fallacy that you get not only from the feminists, but from the left. From the left of the persuasion. I mean, if we had ultra-liberalism out and about in mainstream politics, they would allow oral copulation of two men right in front of an elementary school if we let the left in charge out here. It's disgusting. 646-652-4869. Give me a call. I see there's a lot of people listening in, and I thank you for listening. I'd like for one of you to get on the phone, give me a call, let me know what you think. Am I wrong? Am I really a chauvinist? Am I a bad guy? Somebody called me a cult leader today. Can you believe that? A cult leader. Because I want to help fix the country, because I'm tired of the social ills of America. Cult leader. Yeah, it's disgusting. Hey, we got some people in the text chat here. We got a couple of guests. I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in, listening, chatting with me here in the chat room. Anyway, I just wanted to say that liberalism has a lot to do with embracing feminism. And feminism is just the wrong way to go. Look, we don't need feminists anymore. I mean, women can work. Women can vote. What's the purpose of this feminist movement? I'll tell you what the purpose is. They want complete and total domination. They have emasculated the American male to the point where they're not even attracted to him anymore. The argument I get from most feminists is that, oh, well, we want equality. Equality, huh? Yeah, that's why every time a man takes you out, you expect him to flip the tab, huh? That's why every time a man's in front of you, he has to open the door for you and that sort of thing. But no. We just want equality, that's all. Equality. I see here in text chat we're touching a nerve with some of the people in here. It's getting a little bit more political than I anticipated. Got a lot of Ron Paul supporters. Ron Paul. Huh. That's a joke. But anyway, a lot of people say, well, you know what, you're ranting and raving. I mean, what can we do about it, Ghost? What can the American people do? What can American people do? Well, I think that the federal government has a responsibility to save America's social ills. It has a responsibility. Now, and you see, every time I make this suggestion, I'm criticized that I want moral police on the streets. That's right. I just want moral police. I've been accused of being a Muslim. I mean, they've accused me on wanting to implement Sharia law. No, that's not what I want. I just want moral ethos in society. Is that so wrong? I mean, I remember a time, like I said, people didn't get divorced. Now, people get divorced 5 or 6 times, and it's the social norm. It's disgusting. 646-652-4869. We'd like to hear from you. But what to do? What to do about the feminist movement? What do we do about the social ills of society? Well, I've got an idea. How about we outlaw divorce? How about that, huh? How about we make divorce completely illegal? How about that? Now, every time I've facilitated that idea, people are just saying, oh, my God, how dare you? How dare you would suggest such a thing? What are you, the moral police? No. I just believe that marriage still has some sort of sanctity involved in it. That's all I'm saying. Marriage, it should be a sacred union between two people to raise a family. And we need to save the American family, folks. We need to save it. 646-652-4869 is the number to call. I'd like to thank everybody who's listening in. We've got some people in the little web text chat here. What's going on to you folks in there? Somebody has a question. What's the question, guest 1735? I got a question posed for me in text chat here. And you can log on to the text chat by reaching the blogtalkradio.com/ghost, I believe is where you can get it. But anyway, we are waiting for the question from text chat here. And if you have something to say, please, by all means, give me a call. 646-652-4869 is the number to call. Give me a call. If you hate me, if you hate what I'm saying, if you think I'm nuts, which, I've heard that many times, give me a call and tell me why I'm a nut job. All right, basically Paul's position is for that people who have been attacking us for years don't want us on their continent, so we're leaving. He's allowing the enemy to dictate policy. Well, let me tell you something about Ron Paul, okay? I don't mean to make this a political debate here because I am talking about feminism. But let me tell you something about Ron Paul. I'm ashamed that the Republican Party allowed this piece of trash to even run under the Republican cloak. I am really ashamed that the Republican Party allowed this man the forum to sit here and tout his liberal rhetoric. And let me explain why, okay? Ron Paul, in my view, is an individual that is a liberal in disguise. And he is utilizing the Republican platform to get his message across. And he's gaining, and what really worries me as a Republican, what really worries me is that he's already generated lots of revenue, capital. He's got lots of money. He's going to use that money to run under the Libertarian ticket or the Independent ticket, and he's going to siphon votes away from the Republican Party. And it's a shame that the Republican Party allowed this man to do it. And he is, folks. He's going to siphon votes away from the Republican Party. I guarantee it. He's got a lot of the young Republicans, touting his rhetoric. It's horrible. Anyway, 646-652-4869 is the number to call. Give me a call down here. People say that I tend to scare people away because of my rhetoric. Oh, man. I'm just being real, folks, Just being real. I'm just trying to, pose some viewpoints. Hopefully people, can agree or disagree. I'm just trying to facilitate some debate. That's all. I'm just trying to facilitate some debate, specifically on this feminist movement nonsense. Feminist movement is it's just nonsense, Absolute garbage. It has literally implemented the pussification of the American male. It's made divorce socially normal. It makes it normal. You know, you got women nowadays, like I said, they're shitting out, 5 or 6 kids at a time from 5 or 6 different fathers. They're dumping them off on an illegal alien child care provider or in front of a boob tube or in violent video game or the internet. And then they wonder why they're going into schools and shooting each other. Then they wonder why they're going into malls and shooting each other, participating in deviant activity, participating in devious sexual acts. It's disgusting. It really is disgusting. We need the American family saved, folks. And if we don't do nothing about it, we're just going to see, like I said, you're going to see a man-on-man oral copulation right in front of an elementary school while kids are looking and having the teacher say, oh, that's okay. It's sick. Absolutely sick. 646-652-4869. Give me a call right now. We're talking about the feminist movement and its effects on the American family, the American society, the pussification of the American male. That's what we're talking about this evening, folks. And let me tell you something. I'm getting a lot of numbers here. There's a lot of people listening in, and I'd like to thank you for it. All I'm trying to do is facilitate debate. That's all I'm trying to do. Unfortunately, people think that I'm some sort of a bad guy because I want to save the American family. Outlaw divorce, folks. Outlaw divorce will get rid of all these blood-sucking lawyers, these lawyers that encourage divorce. They encourage this crap. They help induce this garbage. I hate lawyers. Biggest scumbags on the face of the planet, if you ask me. And if you're a lawyer, go kill yourself. 646-652-4869 is the number to call. I honestly think that we'll save the American family if we outlaw divorce. It'll make people think twice before they enter into the sanctity of marriage. They need to understand that they just can't go in and out of marriages like changing dirty, crappy underwear. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. Anyway, don't be scared, folks. 646-652-4869. Give me a call down here. We want to hear from you. If you think I'm a nut job, well, I want to hear why you think I'm a nut job. If you agree with me, I'd like to know why you agree with me. Give me a call. Anyway, here's another suggestion. Not only do we outlaw divorce as trying to save the American family, but I think that you should be thrown in jail. That's right. I think you should be thrown in jail if you commit adultery. And that goes for men and women. Yeah. Let me tell you something. I come across a lot of fellas that agree with my persuasion on this issue here. And they tell me, you know what, Ghost, I used to be married and thought I had the good American family, but she left me for somebody else, I mean, and a lot of times it has a lot to do with nothing. It's just an emotionally impulsive decision these women do. They go out and hop on anything that looks good in a leather jacket. And the feminist movement has made that okay. It's okay. You're sexually liberated. It's all right. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I tell you, every woman that's out there screwing around on their husband be thrown in jail, and vice versa. These women out here that think that they can just go ahead and shit out about 5 or 6 kids from 5 or 6 different fathers without no responsibility? Absolutely not. Here's another law. Here's another law we think, yeah, I'm just suggesting. Just suggesting. We outlaw divorce. We send people to jail for committing adultery. And I also think we should limit the amount of children that a single woman can have. Yeah, I actually think that, yes. I mean, maybe, just maybe, it's just a thought, maybe we'll prohibit so much prevalence of single-parent families. And this isn't just the single-parent families of, oh, I just got about 2 kids, you know, I'm single mom, single father. No. Yeah, have you heard the new, you know, single-parent family now? The single mom? 5 or 6 kids. Our social programs are being sucked dry by this type of activity. It's disgusting. But anyway, I'd like to hear from some folks out there. I think I'm scaring people off. 646-652-4869. We got some people in the web chat here talking about Ron Paul. And I'll tell you why we're talking about Ron Paul in this web chat, because you got these young nut jobs, typically like 9/11 truthers, and people that believe in these outlandish conspiracy theories, getting up on here trying to promote old Ron Paul like he's the savior. Oh, he's going to save us. I'll tell you, Ron Paul is the epitome of the pussification of the American male. Let's just go and leave everybody alone because I'm scared. Let's pull all our troops out from all over the world. Let's let them run rampant. Let's let them do whatever they want to do. We did that already, Ready Works, all right? Because this is you spewing off this Ron Paul propaganda. And I hate to skew the show in a different direction, but I'm sick and tired of these Ron Paul nut jobs. I really hate these Ron Paul nut jobs. Look, during the Clinton administration, Ready Works, we had the policy of just ignore them and they'll go away. We had that policy, remember? The First World Trade Center attack. What was the military recourse from Clinton? Absolutely nothing. How about the Mogadishu Black Hawk Down incident? What happened then? Nothing. He tucked tail and left. What happened during the bombings in Africa on the barracks? Absolutely nothing. It wasn't until the USS Cole happened, he decided to send a couple of cruise missiles and destroy an aspirin factory. Thank you, Bill Clinton. So don't give me this garbage that, oh, well, you know, I'm revolutionary thinking because Ron Paul wants to, you know, tuck tail and bring all the American troops home and everything's going to be okay and everybody will leave us alone. That's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And any Republican out there that's following Ron Paul, you should be ashamed of yourself too. You should be ashamed of yourself. If you're a true Republican, actually being sold this garbage. Now, I know the topic is the feminist movement here, but we've got a couple of people here in the Blog Talk Radio web chat spewing this Ron Paul nonsense, and it makes me sick. It makes me sick. Makes me absolutely ill. You know, these morons, like these Ron Paul nut jobs, they actually think that, you know, you can hold hands and sing Kumbaya and the terrorists are just going to leave us alone. That's what these guys think. They think if we just tuck tail out of everywhere in the world, that America will just be left alone in our own paradise over here, and they're idiotic of the fact that they actually believe that we'll be left alone. Do you remember 9/11, Ready Works? Do you remember that, or were you not born then, huh? Were you not born by that time? The terrorists hit us. Okay, you can't just tuck tail and come to America and think that everything's going to be okay, because it's not going to be okay. And since I'm on this tirade, I just wanted to let my personal views on what's going on in the international community to be let forth, because we got a lot of people here in the Blog Talk Radio web chat talking a lot of garbage. I think that these left-wing, long-hair liberal hippies, okay, they're just sitting here wanting to tuck tail. They actually believe that the terrorists are going to leave us alone if we just stay home and pull all our troops out. That's garbage, ReadyWorks, and you know it. It's garbage. We are fighting a war of ideology. All right, that's what these dumb liberals don't understand. We're fighting a war of ideology. I mean, don't these people understand that we let these people in the Middle East run themselves long enough? I mean, look what happened when we didn't do anything. They allowed, a handful of dictators to rule masses of people and subjugate them with radical Islam. And now they actually believe if they strap bombs, hello, damn, pushed a button, sorry about that. They actually believe if they strap bombs to their chests and kill as many westernized people as possible, that's somehow going to give them some religious significance in the afterlife. And you've got these people believing this garbage. They are brainwashed to believe that America is the great Satan. We're not the great Satan. And you see, I thank God that George W. Bush was elected into office in the year 2000, because had Al Gore been elected, we'd probably all have pictures of Osama bin Laden above our fireplaces right now. He would have had that approach, just like ReadyWorks and old Ron Pussy Paul is suggesting. Oh, let's just hold hands with the terrorists and sing Kumbaya, and they'll leave us alone. It's just disgusting. It is just a despicable ideology that some of these liberals out here have. And you know what? The thing about liberalism, it's rooted in communism as well. You can't disagree with a liberal. You know what I'm saying? I challenge you to go to any one of these little chat communities that are on the internet today, and I guarantee you'll find a gang load of left-wing nut job chat rooms. Just go into one of them and just try to throw an opposing viewpoint and see how fast you get kicked out of the damn room. See how fast you get insulted and belittled. That's communism. That's authoritarian communism at its finest, my friends. They utilize the method of agitation, which is one of the biggest tools utilized by the communists. It's a shame. Really a shame. Okay, ReadyWorks, we understand that you like Ron Paul. You think he's the next second coming or something, but he's a piece of garbage. And if you're a true Republican and you're out there, okay, and you're supporting this Ron Paul, then you might as well just turn coat and get the hell out of the Republican Party. That's right. That's right. If you're a Republican listening in and you're obliging yourself to this Ron Paul garbage, get out of my party. Get out. You're a piece of trash. You're only supporting a guy who has an agenda. Ron Paul has an agenda. He's not stupid. And his agenda is he's going to raise all this capital under the disguise of the Republican Party. I mean, he raised, what was it, more than Mitt Romney last quarter. It was like $20.8 million. You know, yeah, give me a call, ReadyWorks. Go ahead. I mean, by all means, 646-652-4869. Give me a call. I'd like to hear why Ron Paul's so great. Because he's not. He has an ulterior motive, and the motive is that he's going to utilize all the capital generated under the disguise of the Republican Party, and he's going to run, because he's not going to get the Republican nomination, he's going to run as a libertarian, and mark my words, he will do that. He's going to run as a libertarian, just like he did in the 80s, and he's going to siphon votes away from the Republican Party. He's gonna do it. I guarantee it. I guarantee he's gonna do it. You don't raise that kind of money and then just, well, you know, didn't get the Republican nomination, so I'm just gonna sit on my thumb. He's going to run under the Libertarian Party or the Independent Party, and he's going to siphon votes away from the Republican Party. That's been his whole motive the whole time. The whole time. Anyway, 646-652-4869 is the number to call. Give me a call. We were talking about the absolute pussification of the American male due to the feminist movement. But we've got a few people in the web chat here talking this Ron Paul garbage. So the show took a kind of turn in that direction, you know. And the only reason is because I'm a true conservative Republican. And I can't stand the fact, and, you know, and I'd like somebody, if you're a Republican chair of some local division somewhere or some locality, give me a call, and I want you to explain to me why the Republican Party allowed this piece of trash to run under the disguise of the Republican Party. I'd like somebody to call me right now and explain that to me. 646-652-4869. And I'd like to hear a true Republican conservative try to convince me that your Ron Paul is something special, huh? Sick and tired of hearing about Ron Paul. He is going to siphon votes away from the Republican Party, folks. He's not a Republican. He is a liberal in disguise of a Republican. Anyway, 646-652-4869 is the number to call. The show took a different direction. I was actually talking about the feminist movement and how it's implemented the pussification of the American male, how it's kind of perpetuated the social ills of American society, how they've made it the social norm for women to have 5 or 6 kids from 5 or 6 different fathers, how they made it the norm for females just to go out, have 5, 6 different divorces and that sort of thing. Anyway, we got a caller here. I'm assuming it's ReadyWorks. 704 area code. Go ahead. What's your question? What's going on?
There you go. It's ReadyWorks.
What's that?
It's ReadyWorks.
Oh, this is ReadyWorks. Okay, now you were in chat here.
Yeah, man.
Touting this Ron Paul stuff. Now, why is Ron Paul a true conservative in your opinion?
I think that he follows the Constitution and he's fiscally conservative. I mean, I don't think that's I don't think that's really an argument. Really, could it be? I mean,
well, you see,
as far as conservatism,
that's
the argument.
You have to understand, though, we're at a time of war. There, ReadyWorks. We're at a time of war. I mean, this is why we're spending money, is because we're out here fighting the war on terror.
Okay, Ghost. My only problem with that is we're also in a time of fiscal irresponsibility. We're $56 trillion in the hole, and our dollar's falling.
Well, that's because we're fighting a war on terror there, sir.
No, that's not true. Actually, we're being funded by the communist China for the war.
Well, don't let
me... OPEC. And the only thing that's holding our dollar up is OPEC, the fact that our currency is traded with oil. So, no, you're not right. That's wrong.
Well, first of all, China is about to fall, in my view. And that's a whole other subject matter. I think that they're contradicting their whole ideology that made the communist China. They're utilizing communism to exploit work out of capitalism.
That's very true, but I think they're leaning more towards capitalism. Yes, it's still a communist on paper.
And I'm telling you, mark my words, though. The Chinese government is going to fall. First of all, they're dishing out all kinds of industrial runoff into the drinking water, which is killing their people. Secondly, they've oppressed their people politically, religiously, socially, and any other way they control their population in an authoritarian manner. So that's another thing that's going against their favor.
If I could interject, this isn't Tiananmen Square. Actually, they're seeing more profit per person, per capita, than they've ever seen in the history of China. I mean, this is a topic that we can discuss, but it's not going to get us too far because it is, but I disagree. India and China are actually extremely viable. I mean, we made them that way.
Well, see, in India, I'm not really worried about India. India's playing our game. They're democracy, and they have elections and that sort of thing. But communist China, I have no fear of communist China. And I heard this from a lot of economics guys that I usually participate in dialogues and discourses with. And I tell them, I mean, how do you expect communist China to sit here and be any kind of a force when they're going to implode from the inside out? I mean, they have oppressed their people so long, and now they're trying to use the guise of communism to exploit work out of their people while the communist the party in China becomes rich off of it. I mean, this is exactly how the Soviet Union fell. The Soviet Union fell because they created the exact opposite of what communism was supposed to bring. That was an anti...
I agree with that. I'll agree with that.
Hold on, you're cutting in and out. You're cutting in and out. Talk again?
Excuse me. I said I agree with that. The Soviet they shot themselves in the foot. But to continue this conversation, we have to assume that China is not going to adopt any other ideology than the one they have. Now, if that's so, but that still doesn't change the fact that we rely on them heavily right now. In fact, without China, we're in deep, deep trouble. If they don't buy our debt, man, it's over. In fact, the way our dollar's fallen, it could be over all the same. We're in the first month of a recession. There's nothing saying that we're going to pull right out of this.
Well, I think you're giving China more credit than it actually deserves,
okay, maybe
sir.
I shouldn't have even brought that up. I apologize. Forget China. Let's take China off the table and let's pretend that they don't finance our war or the next war or whatever we do militarily. Let's take that off the table. All right, fine. Let's just go to fiscal politics, financially, economically.
Well, why don't we start by cutting off all this liberal social programs?
Exactly. I agree. And you know what? I agree with cutting most of the government.
You're cutting in and out again, sir. Sorry.
I'd take out most of the government.
Well, what are we disagreeing about? I mean, this is the problem.
I'm still for Ron Paul.
But why? Okay, you're for Ron Paul. Okay, we understand that. Why exactly do you believe that it is militarily and nationally responsible for us just to tuck tail and this is what he has stated.
No,
he wants every troop in the international community that's American to come back to America. That includes the troops in South Korea. That includes all the troops in the Middle East. That includes the troops that are in Germany, Japan, everywhere. Now, tell me how that's responsible. Go ahead.
Because I have a copy of the Constitution right here, and the military is based on the Constitution to protect it. And not once can I find in this document, or the Declaration of Independence, or any other documents that this country was founded on, that we have to go to other foreign lands and set up an alliance and, camp there for 50, 60, 100 years at a time.
Well, I'm sure the forefathers didn't anticipate terrorists coming across the pond and hitting us on our own homeland.
Let me ask you this. All that energy that we're doing for other countries, we parked them on our own borders and secured our own country. Would this be a concern? If we took all this money and effort and put it into our own fiscal infrastructure, would we have half the problems that we have right now? We're in 117 countries we have to look out for. Meanwhile, we're falling apart. Yet no one wants to change anything.
How are we falling apart, sir?
We're broke. Our military's run thin. We're borrowing money from communist countries.
Well, our military's run thin. We've got the strongest military in the universe, sir.
That's great. Yeah, and we put them up against third world countries with no military, and we go broke doing it. That's not something we should be bragging about, sir.
Well, with all due respect, once again, we are fighting a war on terror. We did.
We're fighting a war on it now. All right. Here's what we're doing. We're going to third world countries. It'd be like me trying to protect my house and going to a different state to do it. I don't see the logic.
That's a false analogy there.
No. It's a very good analogy, sir. People walk through our borders like it's no big deal.
Well, look, I agree with you on the border situation, but you have to attribute...
That's how terrorists get in.
You have to attribute the fact that these liberals are prohibiting any type of... And you have to admit this, they are prohibiting any type of real change on the border situation because they embrace the fact that these people are coming across the border for humanitarian situations.
Right, listen.
If we go back to political correctness, and this goes back to the subject matter of this particular show, the pussification of the American male, you're seeing it in today's government.
No.
Go ahead.
My argument isn't for Republicans or for Democrats. I'm an independent. I don't like either of them. I think they're both individually flawed, and I think that if anyone would do a pledge allegiance to any form of society or ideology always is indifferent to logic. So I say, you know what? Yes, the Democrats are just as stupid as Republicans. Every time a term comes up for a political campaign, you have to reestablish everything that's going. The same Republicans that are running around today, if you look back at them 50 years ago, were Democrats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to say, yes, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, it's nonsense. Because you know what? In 20 years, all the rules have changed. It makes no sense to me.
Well, with all due respect, sir, I think that the Republican Party stands still for conservative values. Now, granted, I understand that you're trying to speak to me from a fiscal conservative standpoint, but you have to understand that we're in a war on terror. Okay,
no,
I mean they are hitting us, and the reason is because this is a war of ideology. I mean, this is not about one man, one country. I mean, there are 1.2, 1.3 billion Muslims in the international community, and a good sect of them are being induced into Islamic radicalism because of the mere pacifism of the Clinton administration.
Here's what we're going to say. If you're saying that they're being indoctrinated because we're free and their religion is saying that, I'm going to say no. They're being indoctrinated because we go get their oil, we set up camp, and we're building the largest embassy known to man in sovereign countries.
No, the reason they hate us, sir, is because they are indoctrinated with Islamic radicalism that makes them believe that anything westernized is the great Satan. Hold that thought 1 minute. 646-652-4869. We've got another caller here. I'd like to hear their opinion on this conversation. 858 area code, go ahead.
Hey, what's up? I was listening to your show and having some fun. There's nothing like talking to a Paul-tard to frustrate you. I don't see how, first of all, Ron Paul claims to be a constitutionalist. Well, great. You know, we all like the Constitution. That's fine. But Ron Paul lives, I'll pull from Bill Clinton when I say Ron Paul lives in a fairy tale land. You cannot become an isolationist. Unfortunately, I don't believe in globalization, but you can't be an isolationist. You cannot ignore the issues. We weren't just attacked on 9/11. We were attacked starting with Iran back in 1977 and all the way through, the coal bombing, the Marine barracks bombings.
Yep. Well, can I interject 1 second? You're talking about being attacked on other people's sovereign countries. Yeah.
Our friggin' sovereign country was
attacked. With all due respect, ReadyWorks, we were hit. We had one of the most. We had one of the most traumatic terrorist attacks ever to be hit on our nation, and it was because of the pacifist approach of the Clinton administration that emboldened this activity.
I lost people on 9/11 in that attack, and I'm still not going to buy the rhetoric. Listen, you part of a Chinese embassy the size of the Mall of America in the middle of our country and expect that's going to happen, then you're crazy.
What rhetoric? I mean, what rhetoric? The fact is, Muslims killed 2,996 people in about
wait a second. Hold on.
2 hours.
One thing, we never even went after the bad guy.
It's not about one man, ReadyWorks.
No, wait a second. Our administration is, quote unquote, not concerned at this time with Osama bin Laden. And most of those people were from Saudi Arabia.
He's one a-hole. What is
okay, that's great. Now, the terrorists were mostly from Saudi Arabia.
Now, you see, now let me interject on that, because I get that all the time, that all the terrorists were from Saudi Arabia. Don't you understand? This is what terrorism was trying to do. They thought that they could terrorize us into dictating our foreign policy. What Osama bin Laden tried to do was he tried to put a Saudi face on that horrific terrorist attack, and he actually believed in his nutcase Islamic radical mind that if he hit us with a Saudi face, that somehow that would induce us into a war with Saudi Arabia, and that would just kind of benefit his old jihad concept, and everybody would be fighting because the great infidel, the great Satan, United States, is invading the holy land of Saudi Arabia. Now go ahead.
This is when like I have a problem with like the clearly how ReadyWorks is. I mean, and clearly just from comments I'm looking at the chat room. He goes, a whole bunch of terrorists and rowboats paddling to America with guns and bombs.
It does get kind of ridiculous.
But yes, What do you
because
think?
they can walk across our borders right now.
You're one of those people that's like looking at the Iranian gunships, like running up on our ships in Iran and thinking like, oh, it's a joke. You know what? In Yemen, one little gunship went up and killed 17 sailors with one
I think what you're missing here is why the fuck are we in all these countries to worry about? I mean, you're acting like we're supposed to be off the coast of Yemen and Iran all the time.
But you see,
we're supposed to be funding everyone's military across the entire world.
ReadyWorks, if we take a pacifist approach to the international community, they are going to come across the pond and hit us in our own homeland. I don't understand how come you can't see that.
I don't think you're missing it. If you protect the homeland and not try to protect 117 countries with 700 bases financially and militarily, that's what's going to bring us down.
Have you forgot that we are a superpower and the sole superior superpower?
We are not a superpower. We're soon going to. We are broke.
You're cutting in and out. You're cutting in and out. Say it again.
We are not the superpower we were 50 years ago. We are broke. All right. If the one reason we are going into these wars is because both Iraq and Iran wanted to go to the euro for their oil dependence, for the currency to trade oil.
But dude, we haven't gotten oil from Iran in like 30 years.
You're not understanding me, though. The fact that it is because the only thing that stabilizes our dollar is oil. Everything is bought and sold in the American dollar. Now, if a country goes to the euro, the American dollar collapses. When that happens,
already collapsed. I mean, seriously.
No. It collapses when a dollar is worth like a tenth of a cent.
Well, it's close.
Not 70 cents.
No one's arguing that some of the things that Ron Paul says make sense.
No. You're
not obviously.
Or Fred Thompson. But the problem is the rest of the crap is, first of all, you look at his supporters. They're rabid nutsacks.
Unfortunately, though,
interviewed by Alex Jones.
I can't argue all the supporters. I'm not worried about the supporters. I'm not voting for the supporters. I'm voting.
The supporters speak to the candidate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, here's what I'm voting for: constitutional rights, liberty, and the fact that our dollar is falling. I kind of want that to stop because I don't want to be living in an economy based on what Peru will be like, in the next 20 years.
Yes, and unfortunately, Ron Paul's vision of isolation is never going to happen. It can't happen, and it won't happen.
And it'll only embolden not only the terrorists, but Red China and his Soviets into believing that they're now the superpowers, and they can indoctrinate everyone across the world with communism.
China is a friggin' superpower. I don't know where you've been, but China is definitely a superpower.
China will be falling within the next 10 to 15 years, I guarantee it. I mean, you can't oppress a people. You cannot oppress a people for that long period of time and exploit capitalist work. This is not communist work. This is capitalist work out of its people without its people getting any kind of benefit. They are creating a whole elitist community in the Communist Party and leaving 90% of its population in peasantry. I guarantee you it will fall.
The only way they'll fall is if there's a revolution of the people. They're so cowed over there. They're so controlled over there. I don't know if it's going to happen. But ReadyWorks, I mean, it's not that most Republicans, I'm not a conservative, I'm a Republican. It's not that most of us don't argue the fact that Ron Paul has some good points. There's been plenty of times on my show, on my blog, and on other places where I've said, wouldn't it be friggin' great if we just, gave the middle finger to the rest of the world and pulled everything out of everywhere, shut all our bases down, did all. You can't do that. You can't get rid of the CIA. You can't do that because
here's my
no matter
point,
what
though.
happened, there's other people out there that want to kill us. We can't ignore it, unfortunately. I wish we could, but we can't. Our ignoring them for a certain amount of time emboldened them, and we got 9/11. They watched, they practiced, they did 1993. They hit the World Trade Center then. They went, hey, we didn't get anything from that.
I don't need a history lesson. What I'm saying is,
maybe
all these things can't go on. We're broke. All right. Now we can pretend not to be broke.
Clearly, you need a history lesson.
No. We can pretend not to be broke. But at the end of the day,
who gives a shit if we're broke if we don't exist anymore? I mean,
no, you're not understanding what I'm saying is we still exist now. If we continue so irresponsible, trying to spend, we're spending money that we never even had. Okay, we're $56 trillion in the hole.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
Eventually, very soon, that's going to catch up to us if we don't change something dramatically. And when that happens,
Ron Paul is not the candidate.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Explain to me how fiscally, or financially, economically, which is the only thing our superpower is based upon, by the way, is money. It's not like we were great poets and somehow we get superpower. Explain to me how, without a monetary or a currency that's of value, that we can keep being a superpower.
Well, we can first start off by cutting off all this ridiculous liberal social program handout nonsense that we have.
How much fat you think we can trim? We're $56 trillion in the hole. How much fat are we going to trim this year?
I'm sure if we
trim a buttload of frickin' fat, dude, so easily. You could, literally, if you stop, listen for a second. If you shut down the anchor baby bullshit, that would cut a lot of fat. If you started turning them away at the doors, you stopped taking their kids in your school so your kids can't even get educated anymore. I mean, the illegal immigration and the border alone would trim so much fat you don't even comprehend it. And it makes sense. They're criminal invaders. They don't belong in the country in the first place.
So basically, you're basically against the you don't want to take anyone off of the sovereign soils of other countries.
Absolutely not. That would be militarily irresponsible.
Absolutely.
I don't see how it is. I don't see why we need people in Korea all the time.
Because you have other ideologies that want to dominate the international community, my friend. They did it with communism.
Is Korea that, weak that they can't protect themselves at all? Israel. Yeah, I mean,
are you really so unaware of the fact that I'm trying to think of a good analogy to actually.
We created a welfare state for the world, and yes, they take it. What I'm saying is, how is it that fiscally we don't want welfare in our country, yet we'll give anything to any other country, and then we're surprised, and then we'll say, and then we'll try to fight that argument. We say, well, we need to give everything we got to other countries. They need us. We'll be horrible, but yet we can't have a soup kitchen sponsored by the government. It's insane.
Who the hell do you think is the one that's sponsoring those programs, though? It's not the Republicans.
No, it's the same thing on a bigger scale, and you're fighting for it. You're like, no. We always got to keep a base in Germany. It's the fucking soup kitchen of the world. You know what I'm saying? Trillions of dollars every year.
We can totally agree on that.
Pakistan.
Why are we in Okinawa? Why are we in Germany?
Exactly.
Why are we? Although strategically, if you pull your troops out of everywhere you've already got a stronghold in, if the shit hits the fan, you've lost that foothold.
Why do we need a foothold in Guam?
Because we don't want any other kind of ideology taking foot over there that can threaten our national sovereignty and our national security.
And why do we sponsor the UN?
Don't even get me started on the UN.
Why is it we're so alone and everyone, you know what I'm saying? Why is
it? UN tomorrow and have a fucking party, dude.
I know, you're not going to get any debates with me on the UN. The United Nations is an absolute joke. And why we even oblige ourselves to the United Nations is just beyond me. So, I mean, you're not going to get any debate off of me with that.
But my point is, as much as I want to agree, I know that this can't go on. I know that we're already broke. I mean, it's kind of a moot point for me to argue that, well, I don't want this to happen, but I guess I'll let it. I know that in 4 or 5 years, the bottom's going to fall out, and that's going to be it.
I don't think you're giving America enough credit, my friend. I think you already have a defeatist attitude.
No, I don't believe so, because I know the GDP is based on consumer spending, and the dollar's falling. So if all these companies are gone to different countries, right, and our economy is based on consumer spending, meaning things are imported, we buy them, and we're not producing enough to keep that 3% above every month, and we're also in the first month of a recession, you tell me, where are my numbers incorrect?
God, we've been in the first friggin' month of a recession for like the last 6 years.
No,
no kidding.
No.
No kidding.
Please.
Hey, before y'all continue, we got more callers coming in, 646-652-4869. There's a great debate. Go ahead. Do you have anything to say, ReadyWorks? What were you saying?
No, a gentleman just said buy gold. Very good statement. And I know people will fight me on this for federal
the gold standard, No,
I'm not talking about the standard, sir. I'm saying that when gold starts springing super high, that's usually a sign of very bad things. And gold is springing. And yes, sir, political vindication, yes, buy gold. Definitely.
Why don't we just go back to the barter system?
I mean, or mercantilism or something.
Sir, I'm not talking about backing gold. I'm saying gold is springing, which means
but Ron Paul wants to go back to. Ron Paul wants to get rid of currency.
I know everyone laughs at that. Unfortunately, though, our dollar wouldn't fall as quickly as it has if it was backed by anything. And that's only been since the 70s that it hasn't been backed. It's a relatively new phenomenon to not back the currency.
If you took a poll of most Republicans, if you looked at Ron Paul just on some of the points he said, first of all, you'd get a lot of people who said, "Hey, wouldn't that be great? Yay!" But when you look at basically every single one of his, quote, plans. I mean, totally leaving out his Alex Jones connections, his racial BS.
The 9/11 truther garbage.
Just leaving all of that out, just doing his...
Listen, we can hold people to death.
Constitutional points and the IRS and the CIA. These things... never going to happen. Can't happen.
And
happen.
And that's what makes Ron Paul so dangerous to the Republican Party, in my view, because he does tout constitutionalist rhetoric. He does tout a lot of fiscal conservative.
The Constitution is rhetoric.
He is dangerous to the Republican Party. And I've already stated, and in mark my words, he's gaining all this capital just to use it against the Republicans when he finally runs under a third-party ticket.
Everyone says he's a shill for he's going to turn. Okay, why is it that anytime anyone goes independent, it's against the Republican Party? Explain that to me.
I'm not saying. I'm saying that his.
Actually, it isn't. If you look at the numbers right now, the independents are turning towards the Republican Party. Start looking at the primaries.
Exactly. It makes no sense to me.
I mean,
everyone always says, "Oh no, he's a spoiler." He's a spoiler for who?
He's going to siphon votes from the Republican Party. I guarantee you.
Going to be no Democrats have ever been swayed by his platform.
I friggin' tell you right now, anyone that calls himself a Republican and then votes for Ron Paul, I don't really give a shit. I'd rather put Hillary Clinton in office.
Here's why I don't like Republicans.
Well, I don't know about Hillary Clinton, but...
Seriously, it's better than Barack Obama. Hell, I'd rather have the silky pony in there.
I mean, Barack Obama, that's a whole other subject matter. And the Democrats should be ashamed of themselves for backing up some guy who really stands for no political platform. I don't know anything about this man other than the fact that he wants to tuck tail and get out of Iraq, and he wants to open a dialogue with a country that's responsible for 75% of the world's terror, Iran. That's all I know about the man, and yet you got every Democrat and their mother sitting there saying, "Oh, Barack Obama, 08." Based on what? And the fundamental message that he's been trying to tout, and every time I hear it, I want to throw my damn TV out the freaking window, is change. Change, change, change. Change what? Change how?
Change everywhere, change, yeah.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, I know you're not for Barack Obama there, Ready Works. I was just, had to make that comment because the Democrats are literally making me sick.
No, I just my problem with Republicans is they were always so for quote-unquote conservative ideology. I've never seen it. I'm in my mid-30s. I think I saw a bit during the Reagan years, but don't get me wrong, if you look at the stats, he did some conservative things, but he was not, he wasn't Barry Goldwater or anything. He spent a lot of cash.
With all due respect, Ronald Reagan helped facilitate that great economic windfall that we had in the 90s that Clinton was so proud to take credit for.
Okay, and here's where I take point with that, too. Everyone always says, well, the economy follows a 10-year cycle. I don't think that that's correct. The economy now is so much faster than, technology has made that a moot point. It just doesn't exist anymore. It's a fallacy.
A fallacy.
It's based on technology. Yeah, the 90s was based on technology and IPOs. That wasn't the Reagan era.
Oh God. Okay. All right. Anyway, 646-652-4869. There's a lot of people listening in. Give us a call. We'd like to hear your viewpoints. Ma'am, I didn't get your name. What's your name?
Jen.
Jen. Now, Jen, you're a conservative, or not conservative. You said you were just Republican, correct?
Yeah, because I'm kind of socially moderate.
I see. So, who's your candidate, or who do you think is your winner for the 2008?
In the primaries, I will be voting for Duncan Hunter.
Well, you know what? I'm really glad that you brought up Duncan Hunter because I think that he is being way overlooked by conservative Republicans. He actually stands for a lot. But what's unfortunate is that the mainstream media hasn't given him any sort of chance whatsoever. So I'm really glad that you brought him up.
Yeah, he's an excellent candidate. He's a conservative. He's proven himself. He's got a proven track record. I'm from San Diego. I voted for him. I've seen what he's done. He's a great guy, and he's very presidential, which people overlook the fact. you do need to have a figure that's running the country that is actually presidential. Ron Paul, I mean, I'm sorry, it's like Mitt Romney gives me the heebie-jeebies. I look at Ron Paul, and he just makes me want to, like, toss my cookies.
I can't believe, I don't know why the Republican Party allowed this man to run under the disguise of the Republican cloak. I mean, I just think that it degrades the integrity of the Republican Party, allowing this man to go on debates and basically saying that we deserve 9/11, that we deserved all the terrorist acts against each other. I think it's pretty sad that the Republicans would allow him to do that. What do you think about that?
Me or
either one?
I think that the policy is flawed. I agree with what he makes sense to me. I think that if you go into any sovereign country and park a tent, they're going to get pissed and retaliate.
So you think that we deserve 9/11?
No, I don't say we deserve it, but I understand why people get angry when you trample on sovereign countries. Yeah, I understand why there's anger.
That is exactly what you just. So basically, according to what you've just said, people that so we're trampling on sovereign countries, so we kind of deserve. So basically, should we just frickin' nuke Mexico because they step all over us? I mean, literally.
I think we should protect the border. I think we should protect the border, which is never done.
Well, we should just nuke Mexico then. I mean, I would solve all
No,
problems.
ma'am, I think you misunderstand me. I didn't say we should nuke anything. That actually I never brought up using nuclear arms against anyone.
Well,
actually.
I mean, because basically what you're saying is because we happen
to
be in other sovereign nations,
mouth.
not even doing anything, we have bases there.
No. Okay, listen, if you want to talk about Mexico,
bases in sovereign countries, that pisses them off, so it gives them a right to come over and like kick our ass and kill thousands of people. So why don't you just nuke frickin' don't napalm Mexico then if you don't want to use nukes? I'm not the sort of porter.
I'm trying to I guess understand how you're empathizing this, but
it's a perfect analogy.
It's extremely flawed. You're an extremely flawed
your
person.
argument is saying that we are in, quote, sovereign nations, and it pisses them off, and so basically, like, they have a right to come blow our shit up.
No, I did not say it right. Why would you say that?
And that's exactly what Ron Paul said that already works. He said that we deserved it because of what we're doing.
I don't think he said that, and I think that you take things out of context, and that's just crazy. I mean, you guys are both smart. You know what you're doing.
Okay, now, and I'm going to ask you, since you support Ron Paul, are you going to vote for him in the primaries or anything like that? If he happens to run under the Libertarian ticket, which I know for a fact he's going to do, and siphon votes away from the Republican Party, are you going to vote for him?
No, here's the problem. Like I said, I never said I was a Republican. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. So he's the only person I would vote for. If he doesn't run, then I'm probably not going to vote because, like I said, I'm a numbers guy. I know that the policies that everyone else is going to run on.
So you're going to be one of these people that are going to complain about the system that you're not even going to participate in.
Here's the thing: is the system under the platform that it's being run at now won't be around for very long either way. The dollar is, crashing, and I know you're not going to see this on the news. You're not going to say it. No one in
Dude, they're saying it all over the place. Do you watch the mainstream media? I mean, basically, according to the mainstream media, we're basically going back to sticks and clubs next week. Yeah,
and you know what? The mainstream media, I don't give any credence to anything the mainstream media says. I mean, it is the biggest fallacy of all time. I mean, when Barack Obama won the Iowa caucus, I mean, they made it seem like he was the second coming. I mean, it was just absolutely disgusting how they're trying to choose our candidates, and I don't give any credence to what it says in the mainstream media. But go ahead. What were you saying, Ready Works?
No, that's what I'm saying is that's why I learned, economics. Therefore, I just go right to the numbers. And
but, I mean, you kind of, like, totally skipped by what I was saying and totally ignored what I was saying. Your argument from basically when I got on and you got on was that we are invading sovereign nations to steal their oil, and we're evil, and we're bad, and blah, 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 blah.
No, my point is, and I really believe it, is because Iraq wanted to go to the euro. And I think that that's one of the main reasons that we went to Iraq, because obviously we didn't go there for 9/11.
We went to Iraq because it was run by a genocidal dictator who
but I think it was
kill us, who was actively sponsoring terrorism.
And with all due respect, Ready Works, I don't think you understand the magnitude of the war on terror. I mean, this is an ideology that we're trying to fight here.
Listen, I've heard it, and I understand it, but I also understand that they wanted to go to the euro, and I just found that ironic. In the same time that Iran started having problems about nuclear things, they also suggested that they wanted to go to the euro for oil.
So, do you believe we should be open up dialogues with Iran? I mean, I don't understand what you how you expect to remedy the terrorist problem in the international community.
Okay, well, I don't think that they're actually feasibly a threat for another 10 years, but, I mean, that's just if you know anything about the theory of building nuclear weapons.
Okay,
so I guess we could go.
Do is use nukes. That's the only
I guess we could go bomb them now, but you have to understand that preemptive war is a new phenomenon. That's not in our history.
That's because we never got hit on our homeland like we did on 9/11, sir.
And it's called learning from history.
And say we could justify, war. We could start war with anyone, I guess, justified for.
This is not about one country. You see, this is what most people don't understand that are talking against the war on terror. You don't understand that this is a war against ideology. We already had the pacifist approach during the Clinton administration.
What I'm trying to explain to you is saying there's a war on ideology is crazy. It's crazy.
How is that crazy?
Because that's basically saying, I'm going to go beat up a noun.
They hit us on our homeland, sir.
Listen, you can say that. Go ahead and get it out of your system.
Okay, excuse me. Let me just share something with you, okay?
Please.
Okay. In Thailand, just yesterday, a Buddhist villager is murdered by Muslim gunmen in an unprovoked attack. 3 men are shot to death by Muslim terrorists in separate attacks. In Yemen, yesterday, 6 local soldiers are killed by an ambush by Shiite radicals. In Pakistan, a suicide bomber attacks police. This isn't America. This is weird. These are countries we're not. In Yemen, again, Shiite militants kill tribal. Algeria, Islamic fundamentalists kill 4 people. Philippines, 2 off-duty cops are shot to death by suspected Islamic extremists. Islam is a problem worldwide.
Ma'am, I wish you had a paper from 10 years ago, because I wish you could Google 10 years ago and see if there was any terrorists going on in other countries.
What are you talking about? There was terrorism everywhere during the Clinton administration.
Yes, I know. Listen, these aren't new phenomenons.
I understand that, sir, but he had a
for hundreds of years.
We've already tried the pacifist approach. We've already tried the pacifist approach, Ready Works. I mean, Clinton did absolutely nothing. He had no military recourse for all the terrorist acts that were implemented on us, and that only emboldened this radical wing of Islamic terrorists, and they actually believed that we were a paper tiger that wasn't going to do anything.
No. We also got to let's tackle this too by the horns. That both of the main terrorist organizations were backed by the CIA in the 80s.
Oh my God!
Here we go with this garbage.
To run oil through the Afghanistan mountains.
But you see, sir, this is what I try to tell people too. We're on a new political theoretical platform. Back then,
today, we sold guns to Saudi Arabia.
Sir, back then, the reason that we did that is because we had a Machiavellian realist approach to foreign policy. Today, and this is why I support the president, he has changed the political theoretical landscape for foreign policy. We now have a Hobbesian realist approach. We're not going to no longer negotiate with ruthless dictators because they can sit and tout behind masses of people. We're not going to take it anymore. And that's what the bottom line is. We can't just sit by and allow a handful of tyrants in the Middle East to subjugate people with Islamic radicalism so that they can convince them and brainwash them into believing that if they strap bombs to their chest... We
finance guns today with Saudi Arabia.
What? I'm sorry?
We finance weapons today with Saudi Arabia to the tune of $20 million.
With all due respect, sir, Saudi Arabia is our ally.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
What's so funny about that? They're our allies, sir.
Yeah, they're our ally. They're wonderful people. They're a good bunch.
Look, you're not going to get a debate out of me I'm not going to defend Islam by any means, all right? But all I'm simply stating is that we have a legitimate threat to America's national security that's based on ideological theocracy. And the only way that we're going to change that is if we go into the heart of the Middle East, sow the seeds of democracy. And I tell you, in 20 or 30 years, when Iraq and Afghanistan, and I'm telling you, we're going to go into Iran here in the next couple of months, and Iran, these are going to be examples to the Islamic radical community and people that are surrounding the Middle Eastern countries like Iraq, like Afghanistan, they're going to look to their tyrant Islamo-fascist dictators, and they're going to say, wait a minute, how come we can't have free and fair elections? How come we can't participate in the free market system? How come we can't have freedom of speech and freedom of choice and that sort of thing? And I don't mean pro-choice. I mean, just the right to choose whether you're not going to be indoctrinated with Islamic fascism.
At our best, we might be able to throw in a tri-state theocracy. There'll be no doubt.
Based on what?
Democracy, sir. How do you install a democracy? A democracy is brought on by the willingness of the people.
Sir, we have already done this, all right? We have empirical evidence that this works. All right, look at
empirical evidence of a democracy.
Look at South Korea. Look at Japan, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at West Germany. We've done this before. And you see, these are great products to the international community
today.
But
the people wanted it. On a fundamental level, the people wanted it in Korea.
No, well, half of the country didn't. Half of the country didn't.
You go over to Iraq and say, hey, do you want democracy? They look at you like you're fucking head pumping.
What are you talking about? It's working. Are you kidding me? They just opened up the Iraqi zoo. I mean, they got families picnicking now. I mean, give me a break, sir. I mean,
I think the testament of democracy, unfortunately, is time. And unfortunately, you can't have a militarized democracy and say it's a success. You can't say there's an installed democracy if it's at the barrel of a gun. All right. So yes, we can argue about what's a functional democracy.
So what you're saying is we're putting guns to people's heads and forcing them.
You know what? Everyone behaves when the M16's around. All right. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, so how do you think we should solve this problem?
For one, I don't really have any personal interest in Iraq. I know that 9/11, I think that we should have went after just brass tacks. If you're going to use all of the capabilities that we have, found out every person involved, yes, on a smaller level, and not, started a war. It's going to trick you into more war. I don't know if that was the best plan, but you know what? Everyone's brilliant, I guess, in retrospect. But do I think that we should spend all of our wealth and time in this country to quote-unquote install democracy that I don't think they truly believe in? Because like I said,
so you're automatically making assumptions about a mass of people.
Making assumptions. It's been longer than World War II. What am I automatically making an assumption about?
You're automatically saying that masses of people don't want freedom. That's what you're saying. You're saying that they'd rather be subjugated with theocracy and that they're happy being brainwashed into believing that if they strap bombs to their chest and kill people, they're going to go to heaven.
For one thing, I think that you must understand that democracy is pretty much a Christian ideology, too.
Oh, give me a break. Are you kidding me?
No.
Are you honestly kidding me?
No. Explain to me how it isn't.
Explain to me how it is. How about that?
All right. How many countries, on their own fruition, grew and established a democracy?
I couldn't hear you. You're cutting in and out. Say it again.
How many countries on their own fruition that weren't based on some sort of Christianity functioned or stabilized their own democracy on their own?
Sir, we invented the concept. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, we are the greatest social experiment on the face of the planet.
There was democracy before America.
Oh, well, you're going to say that, the English were a democracy because they rose up against the king. Are you going to make that argument?
If it was a democracy, it is what it is.
Oh, God. Well, you know what? We can agree to disagree, sir. And I really appreciate, whether I disagree with you or not, I really appreciate the discourse. Jen, are you still there?
I am. I'm sorry. I had my phone on mute.
No, it's more than fine. Anyway, I initially started this show trying to talk about the impacts of feminism, and then we got into this debate because the Ron Paul touting. I'd like to hear your opinions on the feminism. That's what the topic was here. What do y'all think about it? What do you think about feminism and its effects on the moral ethos of America?
It depends on what you're talking about. Feminism. Are you talking about leftards that are like?
Well, now I started off the show by saying I understood the concept of feminism at around the time of the turn of the 20th century. I understood that women didn't have the right to vote, which was uncalled for, They didn't have the right to work, which is even more uncalled for. I'm talking about the 60s Gloria Steinems that have basically induced this embracing of immoral activity and that sort of thing. I mean, the prevalence of single-parent families and throwing that under the guise of liberation. I mean, do you think that I'm just nuts? I mean, because many people have criticized me in saying that I don't know what I'm talking about.
How is feminism? I mean, let me see if I try to get where you're coming from. Like, how is feminism affecting you right now?
Well, let me tell you something. First of all, the feminist movement has asserted the absolute pussification of the American male in today's society. Let me give you an example. You have a woman that'll get up on stage, on television or something, and says, you know what, women are better than men. And you're going to get a round of applause from everybody, both male and female. But if a man, and I'm not saying it's right either, but if a man gets up on there and says, you know what, men are better than women, he'll get booed off the stage. Now, how is that equality, which was the initial basis of the feminist movement?
I don't think that's I think that's a social mores. I mean, that's not equality. I don't think that's really equality.
That's my point. That's my point, sir. Is that that was my initial point for the show, was that the feminist movement, in my view, has encouraged activity such as women having 5 or 6 kids from 5 or 6 different fathers, and that's under the guise of social liberation or woman liberation. That it's okay to have 5 or 6 different divorces and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. And if we're coming from a feminism viewpoint, then yeah, that's just bad logic all around.
How is that bad logic? Well, I mean, can you explain to me? Can you explain to me why, when I was growing up?
No. I'm saying to have 5 or 6 kids with multiple men, I think it's just bad.
But that has become the social norm.
That's just irresponsible.
How does that have to do with feminism?
Because feminism is reshaping the mentality of the American woman.
So should I start go and iron some shirts right now?
No, that's not. You see, that's a logical fallacy that feminists use whenever I try to facilitate any type of discourse on the subject.
I'm not a feminist, mind you. I'm trying to get where you're coming from on this.
The point is that I'm all for women going out, having a job, going out, being able to participate in voting and that sort of thing. I just think that what the modern woman does now is not instill that instinctive nurturing instinct on their children. Instead, they're basically dumping their kids off on an illegal alien child care provider or in front of a boob tube or a violent video game or the internet, and they wonder why these children are going into schools and killing each other and participating in deviant activity and that sort of thing.
And how is the man not equally responsible, though, for staying home? If the woman goes to work, why can't the man stay home and nurture his children?
Well, a man that does that is going against the grain of the family, don't you think? Or are you part of the persuasion that believes that it's okay to be Mr. Mom?
I have no problem with people that... I have a friend that's Mr. Mom. His wife makes money, and he stays home and raises the kids.
Now, how is that bettering the children? Can you answer me that?
Wait a second.
Children are happy and well-adjusted. I mean...
Do you think that's detrimental to the kids?
Well, no. I think that the parents should be involved at a mutual level.
No, but I'm saying specifically, you think it's detrimental to have the man being a taker for the
I think that it only asserts the pussification agenda of the feminist movement. And, I honestly believe this. I mean, don't you... I remember a time...
I honestly believe that the country is becoming pussified, and I think it's becoming pussified through politically correct BS.
And you know what? I can agree with you with that, Jen, because let me tell you, it's the feminist movement that has utilized political correctness like McCarthy utilized communism during McCarthyist era. I mean, and that's the problem. I mean, and I think that we need to address that problem, whether I'm a little extreme on my views, which I can probably admit I am, but at the same time, I mean, we need to do something against the moral ethos being degraded in today's society. I mean, do you agree?
I don't think, you need to look at, what are the things that are causing morals in this country, and by morals, I'm sure that you and I would probably agree. What are the real problems? Is it that mom isn't staying home and, quote, nurturing the kids? Is it really just the information technology? Is it some of the people that are in the chat room tonight and these kind of people that are just lower than pond scum? Is it more just the way that society is moving in general, not just feminism, just society in general.
I think that feminism has perpetuated this mentality. It's made the social norm for women to go ahead and have 5 or 6 kids from 5 or 6 different fathers. I mean, it's the feminist movement that disguises that activity of women liberation.
Yeah, but see, the ones that are going out and having like the 5 or 6 kids from 5 or 6 different fathers, these are not like first of all, most of them are probably liberals or would vote on.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not denying that the feminism isn't rooted in liberalism.
And it's not feminism that is making them the way they are. It's ill education. It's being brought up in a home that is being poorly educated, both in sexual contraceptives and, of course, in, like, I'm going to have, like, a bunch of baby daddies. I mean, that's where it boils down to. It's not necessarily, it comes from socioeconomic background, education. It's not feminism that's doing it. Because believe me, in some cases, I mean, for example, my friend Rick, he actually was a coworker of mine, and his wife makes more money. He just quit, and he's going to be the stay-at-home mom. They just had a baby, and he's great with his kid. He's wonderful, and it works better that way. He's kind of one of those people, but it works good.
well, one of those people, right? I'm, liberal, right?
No, he's just lazy.
Oh, well, you see, and you see...
But he's lazy.
And at the same time, we've also perpetuated that type of mentality on the American male as well. I mean, that's why you have a lot more males, instead of going out, getting their nails dirty and working, they have their handouts waiting for, that government assistance or some kind of social program. Anyway, we got another caller here. I want to see what they have to say. Area code 212. What's going on?
Hey, how are you guys? I got my reasons. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm gonna have to side with Jen on this one.
Okay.
I think that you're talking about talking points. There seems to be a lot of bluster and very little content in the thing you're making. You're just talking about this sort of vague idea of like pussification of men.
Vague idea? I mean, sir, why don't you look on MTV right now and look at the prevalent male superstars and notice the feminine features in their physical attributes. I mean, notice the feminine vernacular.
I blame MTV,
you think
man.
50 Cent is feminine?
I'm sorry?
You think 50 Cent has feminine features?
Well, 50 Cent is a complete marketing strategy. I mean, it's the last of machismo in my view. I mean, I think that's completely different. I'm talking about mainstream, and look at the rock stars nowadays. Remember when rock stars used to mean something?
Jim Morrison was a real not a pretty boy, in other words. So
I'm sorry?
So like Jim Morrison and all the guys in the 60s and all those good rock and rollers, they weren't Aerosmith. They weren't doing
the people back then, the rock stars back then still asserted their manliness, sir. They were out there being badasses. Led Zeppelin used to rent out 3 rooms of a hotel and run their motorcycles through.
Do you listen to hip hop?
I don't listen to hip hop faithfully, but I
don't know what you're
hip-hop.
talking about, because hip hop is the #1 form of music in the U.S. and globally. It's the #1 form of music that's bought by teenagers.
Let me combat you with that. Okay, look.
And it's consistently misogynist. You should listen to it because it'll reinforce your backward ideas.
I disagree with you, sir, because let me tell you, you want to talk about hip hop. You want to talk about hip hop. Why don't you look at Beyonce Knowles and listen to the ideology she's spreading to young children in those songs? Oh, you can pay my bills, you can pay my telephone bill, you can pay my car bill.
That's a feminist message. Are you out of your mind? That's
look, sir.
Retrograde 50s. Let's get married message. Give me a break. It's like
give you a break. Excuse me, sir. Are you a liberal? Are you a liberal?
No, I'm not. I'm a progressive, and I'm sure you don't see.
That's just another word for disguise for liberal.
Look it up. It's on Wikipedia.
Well, yeah, sir, Wikipedia is not a credible source. No college professor would use that as a credible source, and you know it.
Conservapedia, because the same exact things are on it. You can also look up neoconservative, and it'll give you the answers that you.
I can't believe that you sat here and cited Wikipedia as some sort of a legitimate source of information.
Are you listening? Conservopedia. It's the conservative version of Wikipedia for all you people that can't stand to look at just a regular source. You can go look at Conservapedia, and it'll have the exact same definition. So go look up progressive politics on Conservapedia, read about the 1890s, read about the 30s, read about labor unions and all that, and then you can figure out...
Oh, so that's what I'm saying. You're a liberal. You're for unions,
not
right?
Liberal.
You're for unions, right?
I think that unions are an important part of our labor, yeah.
Okay, now why is that? You think it's okay for a group of individuals to basically strong-arm companies in for higher pay?
Yeah, you know, when miners die in a shaft because they don't have proper safety equipment, I think it is okay.
Sir, there's a certain element of danger. There's a certain element of danger in being a miner. I mean, you know, with all due respect, it's just like Tom.
There's more of that element. If you're a miner in Africa, you have less protections than you do in the U.S. precisely because the unions take care of that.
So you're all for unions.
Dismantle that?
You're all for unions. You think that unions are the greatest things in sliced bread, then?
I never said that. I'm simply saying that unions have a role, and I just demonstrated what the role is.
A role in strong army companies.
No,
a role in safety.
You can't disparage all unions now.
A role in safety. A role in fair wages. Come on.
Fair wages? You want to talk about fair wages, sir? Let me tell you, the unions have done nothing but ruin the American work ethic. All right, now I understand.
Talk about feminism and the myths that you're talking about feminism. My mom was a feminist. Okay.
Well, I can understand your mentality now.
Oh, thank you. You know, like you really know anything about it. You're demonstrating. You don't even know. You seem to think that hip hop music that degrades women is like somehow pro-feminist.
Oh, well, first of all, old school hip hop. I mean, you know, when Tupac was around, I'm sure it was misogynist, and that sort of thing. Have you listened to your local rap station now? It is just pussified, absolute pussified garbage. It is. I mean, Soldier Boy, give me a break, sir. Anyway, that's about it for this guy. Anyway, are you still there? Ready?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I can't believe, but you see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to these liberals, and this guy's trying to disguise himself as a liberal. I guess he's ashamed to admit it. He's trying to disguise, I'm a progressive. That's just absolute nonsense. Anyway, since you're here, Reddy, I want to hear your viewpoints on it, because you've been waiting very patiently. Go ahead.
No, it's, you know what, I don't know. It's, like I said, I don't know if it's because I don't follow pop culture as closely as I once did, or
Well, I mean, do you agree with me that society is taking a downturn? I mean, the social ramifications of feminism has made it the social norm for women to shit out about 5 or 6 kids from 5 or 6 different fathers, to have 5 or 6 different divorces. I mean, do you agree with me that that's the social norm nowadays?
Right, and I agree. And I don't know, though. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to peg it to feminism, because I just don't know if that's just a lack of complete moral standards. And I don't know if I can peg it to feminism or just the fact that I could, you know what, I could almost, I follow you halfway. I can say the 60s did as much harm as good, in the respect that somewhere we got lost as far as fighting for civil rights and so forth. And,
well, that was the feminist movement in the beginning of the 20th century. And before you go on, I just wanted to give everybody the number 646-652-4869. Go ahead, sir.
What I'm saying is, I don't know if that would be entirely put upon the feminists. I think it might be like some carryover to where if you take away the point of a certain social stance and you just take away the meaning of it, and you just roll with the quote-unquote actions. For instance, if you take Woodstock and you take away any meaning that it had, and it was just a whole bunch of people just getting crazy, and yet you built a society on that, then yeah, I think that was it. You know, I mean,
well, absolutely. I mean, and you see, the feminist movement was the root of all this garbage. I mean, you know, the bottom line is that the feminist movement has made. Look, let me tell you how it is, okay? The feminist movement has refashioned the woman appetite in America to basically become a subliminal prostitute. I mean, can you not agree with me on that? I mean, is it no coincidence that there's a big correlation between divorce and a man losing his job? I mean, can you not agree with me that, I mean, are you a single man, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, if you go out, what are you going to do to try to attract a woman in like a social setting? You're going to have to put on some nice, expensive clothes and maybe a good, nice-looking watch.
I know. I'm sorry, though. I don't fit your stereotype. I'm actually just... I go against the grain as far as that.
Well, I applaud you for that, sir. I really do, and it's unfortunate
because I think that you will attract everything that you don't want. Now, if I want a bad person or a materialistic idiot, then I will do anything in the handbook that would necessitate.
Okay, since you are a single person, I'm glad you enlightened us with that. How would you try to attempt to facilitate some sort of companionship and hopes of a relationship with a female? I'm just curious because I've been married for a good long time.
Well,
I mean, because you say you're not, you're not gonna, do what the modern day man has to do.
Yeah.
And you have to agree. You have to agree, though, that the man to attract females in this day and age.
I agree. No, I understand that. I live in a really wealthy, flashy community, and it's just nonsense. I live in Race City outside of Charlotte. And there's just a lot of money. But it's silly though because you really do attract all the idiots if you do that. So I mean, really, if I don't capture capture the imagination of someone with conversation or something like that, then it's really not in my best interest.
Well, obviously not, sir. But the modern male nowadays, if they try to attempt to get any kind of a relationship from a woman. I mean, how do they attract them? Well, they got to have the big fancy watch, and they have to have the $3,000 Armani suits.
A 5 Series BMW.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's tragic. I mean, if that's what has evolved from the feminist movement, then I guess that is true.
That is exactly what has evolved from the feminist movement. And you see, that's why I say that, there is a big correlation between a man losing his job and divorce. I mean, there just is. And why is that? I mean, I thought marriage was for better or for worse and that sort of thing. And look, I'm an employer, okay? And I have a lot of employees that have been down on their luck. They've come to me for jobs, and I've heard this from their very mouths that, they just got divorced because they got laid off from their previous job. And I don't understand why that is. I mean, can you attribute it to the fact that the modern-day woman, because of feminism and under the disguise of woman liberation, the feminist movement has turned the modern-day American female into a subliminal prostitute? I mean, I know that sounds pretty brash, believe me, but I mean...
I think there's a lot to be said, too, for social evolution. I mean, there's so many variables. I wouldn't say it. I couldn't say that with any degree of confidence.
Well, I'm saying it, sir, because I'm seeing it. I remember a day when you were shunned. You were outcasted if you had a baby out of wedlock. I mean, you were called a Jezebel and a moron if you got a divorce. Now it's the social norm.
Right.
I mean, I just don't understand why nobody is taking more offense to this, especially conservative Republicans. I mean, we need to get back to saving the American family. The American family's becoming extinct.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I was talking to some guys from Australia. Australia has got one of the biggest feminist movements in the world, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And I was enlightened to hear that 75% of marriages out there end in divorce. 75%.
You know that in the UK they're actually for a 7-year marriage license, where after 7 years the marriage dissolves.
I actually believe, sir, that they should outlaw divorce in this country. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, it would bring up the murder numbers.
Well, no, I'm serious, because people are utilizing marriage. They're going in and out of marriages like they're like they're changing underwear. I mean, that's how casual marriage has become.
Right. Well, that's why I'm not married. I guess that's just the way it is. I don't know. I mean, yeah, you could try to bring up some really crazy law. I don't think we need more legislation in the world, but
well, I do think that government has a little bit of a responsibility to cure the social ills of a society. I mean, if it were up to these long-haired, liberal, bedwetting, hippie bastards.
That borders on socialism, having the government say, well, I'm going to hear the social norms, I know better.
With all due respect, sir, you got the social liberals here basically endorsing the fact that they want to see man-on-man oral copulation in the streets.
Right.
I mean, that's the liberal mentality.
Yeah.
And you see, I mean, I just don't understand why there isn't more people upset about this. I mean, the American family's being destroyed, and the American family was the backbone of America.
Right. Well, you know what? I think that a lot of dumb people bred, and I still think there's smart people and smart families out there. I just think, unfortunately, that there's a lot more dumb people proportionately.
Well, you want to know why? You want to know why there's dumb people, sir? Because you have a public education system, which is a government-funded education system, mind you, that has been infiltrated by feminists.
Actually, if feminism is a code word for government, and I'll agree.
No, listen to me. I mean, don't you agree that...
Specifically, I don't. I just don't like anything government-run, I think that's nonsense. Now, you could make a claim that feminism had something to do with it, and if it's a good argument, then I'll agree. Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, I just feel that if you look at the average everyday school board, and if these people were, kind of honest about their true agenda, you'll find, bull-nosed, bull-dyked feminists on the school board. You got feminists writing the textbooks. You've got I'm serious. I mean, feminism is offshoot of liberalism, and they are utilizing the guise of political correctness as a tool of agitation, in my view. Right.
I mean, that could be very well so. I'm not familiar enough with it, and it's been a long time since I was in school, and I'm not on the board of the PTA. Obviously, I'm not married. I don't have any children.
Yeah, haven't you know? I mean, I read an article recently that the average high school student that graduates from a public education institution, I heard that they actually believe that the United States fought on the side of the Nazis in World War II.
Okay, yeah, I didn't graduate that year.
Against the communists, mind you, against the communists. That's what these people believe now. This is what the public education system is producing out here.
Yeah, I'm scared and I'm saddened by that fact. I mean, I really am glad that I look back and I never thought about it. I was lucky enough to get a scholarship and get a private education, and I worked for it. I had a partial scholarship, but I mean, looking back in my younger years, it was invaluable to me. So it's unfortunate that the public schools are as horrible as they are.
It is pathetic. In my view, and I'll save this banter for another show, I think they need to privatize education.
Well,
I mean, to be completely and totally honest with you, I mean, you got the biggest union in the world, or in the United States, which is the teachers' union, strong-arming the government. I mean, I think the average teacher across the United States makes over 40-something thousand a year. And that was strong-armed by the unions, and we had the supposed progressive gentleman that was on earlier who just embraces unions, and I think that unions is work.
Well, here's the thing, and I'll agree and then I'll disagree. Teaching has got to be, off the top of my head, one of the most important and prevalent and toughest jobs I think you could have if you're doing it well, for one. Having said that, I don't think $40,000 or $45,000 is a great deal of money if you're a good teacher, especially in the class loads that some of these people have. I'm not responsible for 35 to 45 people every hour, and that,
but they're not facilitating any education. They're now.
I think that's more of the government problem. I don't think that's restricted just to the teacher. I do not believe that.
Well, they're the ones that have dictated the policy. They've dictated the policy on what to do about education. They say, we need bigger schools, we need more teachers, we need better technology. Well, the government has basically given blank checks to the public education system, and yet the best product we can produce out of school are kids that believe that the United States fought on the side of the Nazis?
I have a hard time believing that's solely the teacher's responsibility. I think there's a lot of bureaucracy involved there, which will bring me back to the point where, I think that the privatized education would be, anything privatized is better because you're more focused. Simply put, the government is not focused.
Absolutely. And I remember earlier you were saying, well, how can we trim the fat and get some of this money back on the deflated dollar? I say we just eliminate all the education system, and instead of giving all the money to the teachers that are getting paid over $40,000 a year on average, and mind you, they get an extra $1,000 a year every day for their tenure. So if you teach for 30 years, you just do the math.
Well, here's the thing: is like I said, I kind of see it, but if you're a good teacher, and like I said, a privatized education would really bring the cream to the top. You're worth the money because you can't go back in time and get your education back. You really only got one swing at the plate up until you're about 18.
Yeah.
So if you're as smart as you can be by the time you walk out of there and you don't think that we were on the side of the Nazis, that's going to be really good, and it's worth $45,000 to get 100 to 200 people taught.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, you know what, Radio Works, it's been a great discourse. Thank you for calling in. I got about 5 minutes left on the show, so...
All right, sir, I appreciate your time, and I'll listen next week.
Not a problem. Hey, thank you very much, man. You have yourself a good night, and, hopefully you find yourself a non-feminist woman.
I hear you. Take care.
All right, man. Take it easy. All right, folks, that's just another caller, and, we have a lot of people in chat here that are... obviously a bunch of pussified men that are getting a little upset at the fact that I'm against the feminist movement, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. Feminism, liberalism, it's all rooted in communism. I mean, it is. I mean, you noticed, the progressive, which is a joke. It's just, you're just ashamed to be a liberal, and I don't blame them. When you attempted to facilitate any type of discourse with the left, automatically the logical fallacies come out. Automatically, they throw out the personal insults and the four-letter words and that sort of thing. I mean, there is no debate. There's no debate with the left. And that, my friends, is authoritarian communism. It's authoritarian communism. Bottom line. As a matter of fact, the progressive gentleman is still in the chat room right now talking all kinds of logical fallacy garbage. And you're going to get this from the left. I mean, there is no political discourse with liberals and feminists. There is no political discourse. And you see, that's what America was founded on, folks, was political discourse, was debate, that sort of thing. Now, I understand that, there's a lot of people that may believe that, oh, well, it's not feminism that's causing the social ills. It's bad parenting. Where do you think bad parenting comes from, folks? It comes from the liberal ideology. It comes from the feminist ideology. And we are going to continue to see males, just like this progressive individual who sounded, like he just popped out of the ass crack of Richard Simmons. You're going to continue to see this stuff. You're going to continue to see, males that are feminized, the prominent feminine features and their physical attributes, the feminine vernacular. You're going to continue to see it. And I think that every conservative Republican should rise up and tell these people, we are just not going to take the social ills as the social norm. We're not going to take the social ills of the social norm anymore. We need to go back to family values. We need to outlaw divorce. We need to limit how many children a single woman can have. She can't shit out 5 kids from 5 different fathers and expect that to be the social norm. Can't expect that. Can't expect these people to ruin the sanctity of marriage just because it's politically correct. Don't fall for this political correctness, folks. It's all a method of agitation which is rooted in communism. Anyway, it's been nice, folks. This is the first show. And I hope everybody appreciated it. I mean, whether you like me, whether you hate me, it really doesn't matter. I just hope I make you think about certain things, Think about why our social ills are happening. Think about why it's prevalent for women to shit out 5 or 6 different kids from 5 or 6 different fathers. Just think about it. Anyway, it's been fun, folks. At any time, I should be cut off here, but until next time, same place, same time, blogtalkradio.com/ghost. And until then, folks, I shall see you later. Long live the conservative Republican movement. Long live the conservative Republican movement. Good night, and God bless you all.